Hi there, my name is Kelly and I do paper crafts for Something Worth Having. We've got the links to the website down in the details there. And welcome to my corner of the table. I'm going to show you how to do something simple. This is a great beginner's tutorial. It's a great project for somebody who is just starting and wants to kind of try a few techniques. So I make some little clipboards. They're 5x7, and so we're going to go ahead and we're going to make one of those. So the 5x7 clipboard, what you need is you need a good solid piece of 5x7 chipboard. Now I don't have a good solid piece of 5x7 chipboard right now. What you can do is use chipboard from the backs of notebooks. You're just going to want it good and solid. Because I don't have one that's solid, I'm going to be combining some. Now the chipboard that I am using is a 22 point, so it's fairly lightweight, and I have cut 4 5x7 pieces, and I have glued two sets of them together, so what I have is 2 5x7 pieces. They're just double duty. But when I got them done, I realized that that's just not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something a little heavier. So we're going to go ahead and put these two together. Now let me show you what we are going to be using today. So we've got the 5x7 chipboard that we're going to be putting together. And then we have one sheet of paper. This is a 8.5 by 6.5 sheet of paper. This is a 5x7 sheet of paper. So we'll be using those. Also, what we've got here is I'm going to be using some double-sided tape. I'm going to be using some mono glue. I'm also probably going to use at least a little bit of the glue stick, and I'll tell you, I'll kind of give you an idea of what time I choose to use those. I mean, I use these for different things. There's things that I use the glue stick on that I would never use the mono glue on, and vice versa. So I will kind of give you an idea of what I do. Now this is a burnisher. I will show you what you do. That is great for getting the air bubbles out of things. We're going to use a bowl clip. These I got from Amazon, and I will put the link down in the details for that as well. And then I've got a good pair of scissors. We're going to need a pair of scissors. These are great. I will say that if you're going to get into crafting, scissors are so important. These are Westcroft. They are carbon titanium. They are non-stick. You have no idea how important that is until you have to sit and try and open scissors with glue stuck to them. So these are non-stick scissors. I actually got a pack of 3 at Walmart for 15 bucks, I think it was. And there's a nice big pair for big jobs. This is the pair that I tend to use. This is the medium, and I got a little ribbon snipper size as well. Okay, this is my, it is a dental tool. Yes, it's one that I don't use anymore, but I use it a lot of times for picking up the double-sided tape. It's easier than me trying to get it up with my fingernails. My fingernails are various lengths. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. I don't use this anymore because I basically have no more teeth, and so I have started using it to pick up the edges. I used it one day in desperation, realized it was a great tool for picking up the edges of the double-sided tape, and so now I use it all the time. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 pieces of chipboard that I put together. Now, when I originally did this, I used 46 point chipboard, and I did put 2 pieces together and stuff. So it was a good hardy chipboard. Now, something like this, I am going to use my double-sided tape. I'm just going to put it on the edges. A lot of my double-sided tape is just on the edges. Some of the glues actually hold better than the tapes, so I like to use glue, but at the same time it takes time for glue to dry. I am not a patient person. I'm in the middle of a project. I want to get moving on, and so I would rather have the tape holding things down while the glue dries underneath it. But this is something you're going to use mostly tape on anyway. Honestly, there's no wrong way to do this. Now, I will probably do a tutorial kind of going into the different types of tools that I use later on. Mostly my tutorials will be for beginners until I start doing some of my more complicated projects. And you know, if you're just getting started, it's good to know what tools to use. You'll see people do things like that in other tutorials, and understand that nobody is wrong. There are just people who do things a certain way. It works for them. If they would never do something a certain way, but somebody else would, nobody's wrong. It's just they have done this. They understand what works for them, and they do that. So just, you know, experiment and find out what you want to do. So now I've got the tape down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to burnish it with this little folder here. This is actually the knife that goes to my scoreboard for scoring things, but it's also great for burnishing, which is just getting this rubbed down. It gets all the air bubbles out. I use this to burnish everything, including things that I use the glue stick on. I've actually had chunks of glue stick get caught underneath stuff, and the burnishing actually pushes it out and keeps it from making a problem. Okay, so now I have the tape down, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it up now. But this is not the only way it's going to be held down. I want this to be secure, so I'm going to glue it as well. I just prefer to pull the tape off of it before I glue it. And this tape here on the edges. Now I am using mono glue. My sister got me started on this. It's by Tombow. And I hated it when I first got it. Now I love it. It doesn't take much. It actually dries pretty quickly. And I'm just going to do a quick squizzle, and then I am going to take these two pieces and I am going to put them together so that I have one good solid piece of chipboard. So that is going to be the size of our little mini clipboard. Okay. Now, once you have your chipboard, what you're going to do is you're going to take the larger piece of paper. Now, when I do these, as a general rule, when I cover chipboard, especially solid chipboard, I use paper rather than cardstock, unless I'm going to put pockets on something. You're fine. Unless I'm going to put pockets on something. Paper is not going to hold pockets or the things that you put in the pockets very well. So in those cases you need cardstock. But in this case I am using paper, and one of the things you need to be aware of is what side, you know, if you've got a directionality, you know, you've got things pointing out, make sure you pay attention to stuff like that, because you can end up cutting things wrong, you can end up putting things on there wrong, you know, get a project done and realize that your paper is sideways or upside down. So these roses going this direction, so I'm just going to turn this over, and I am going to take my glue. Oops, got a little bit off on the sides. I'll put some glue there, and I am going to center this, just eyeball it. I'm going to center this the best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Alright. Burnish. I'm going to hold that down a little bit. Have that stay. Alright, so now you've got these edges. And like I said, this is a good glue. It actually dries pretty quickly. Again, I'm fairly impatient, so I usually use a little bit of tape as well. So for this clipboard, what we're going to do first is we're going to need mitered corners. So we're going to take our scissors and we're going to clip the corners, but we're going to make sure that we don't clip it all the way down, because the corners of your chipboard will show through if you do. So leave about 1/8 of an inch when you clip your corners, just like this. There we go. Now, this is a thinner tape than this. This is about 1/4 of an inch. This is about 1/8 of an inch. Now we're going to use this 1/8 of an inch tape, and we're going to put it on the paper right as close to the chipboard as you can get. So see that? It's kind of hard to see because the tape is white, but it's right there underneath the chipboard. So we're going to do that all the way around. We're going to put this tape down. This is going to help it adhere to the sides of the chipboard when we fold the paper up. We don't need, because we are using paper, we really don't need to worry about scoring. I don't like scoring this kind of project anyway, because if you don't put, excuse the dog down there, she doesn't like me talking to somebody besides her. Stop. Quiet. That's enough. If you score a project like this and you don't put it down absolutely perfectly, then you've got score lines in odd places. And so to prevent that, I tend not to score something like this. But I'm using paper. It really doesn't need to be scored anyway. So we're going to get this all down here. Okay, and then we're going to take the 1/4 inch and we're going to put it here on these edges here. Okay. Most of my projects use a combination of glues and tapes. The mono glue I tend to put on things like chipboard. I will put it directly on the chipboard. I will never put it directly on the paper, except on very rare occasions, and then it's usually just a tiny bit. The glue stick I put on paper, and I will use it on expanses of paper, but I generally don't put it on the chipboard. That's usually something I use for very specific reasons. The mono glue and the tape runner in some cases, I haven't used my tape runner in a while, are sufficient. Now I'm going to go ahead and burnish all of these pieces down, including these pieces down here. Get those all burnished down. Felt like that came up just a tad bit. No, maybe not. I just managed to slide that underneath. Okay, so now I'm going to take my handy dandy dental tool. Mookie, that's enough. That's enough. Quiet. Okay, and I am going to take the top tape off first. All right. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take off the bottom tape. Come back. There we go. Off with the bottom tape. This tape, I will warn you, especially if you're a beginner, is unforgiving. So if you drop something onto this tape accidentally, consider it there. Once in a while I've managed to get things off of it, but for the most part, if something gets taped to this tape, it stays. So be very careful with what you're doing. So now I'm going to take my little knife thing here, and I am going to start here, and I'm going to push it up against the edge and fold it. Now when doing that, I have pushed that piece of tape up against the edge. It is holding it in place. Now I'm going to take this, I'm just going to push it down here in the middle, and I'm going to smooth it out to that side. I'm going to smooth it out to this side. Okay, then I am going to come around here, and it's always better to do the side to side or the end to end first. It just goes together much better. So I've pushed that tape up against the edge again. I'm going to push it down, and I'm going to smooth to this side, and I'm going to smooth to this side. Okay, now I'm going to do the ends. Same thing. Smooth to the sides, and you can see that mitered corner has made a very nice little corner here for us. So that just has gone together really well. Okay, push that last one up. Push that down and smooth to one side, smooth to one side. And here we've got all of our corners smoothed down. Now remember, I said this paper has directionality. This is the, let's see, okay, so this is the direction it's going. So make sure when you do this, you remember which side is the top. If you're having trouble with it, there's no problem grabbing a pencil and writing top. Just make sure, because nothing is going to come through there, nobody's going to see that. But this is the back of your clipboard. So that's just nice and smooth. The corners are mitered. They look lovely. All right. So that's all taken care of. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the front on it. And for the front, I have chosen this one. It's very similar. I get my papers from Hobby Lobby. They're called the Paper Studio. I like them because my cardstocks and my papers all will have pieces with common themes. So there's times when I can be making something and I can use a piece of cardstock from another paper pad to make a pocket, and it will go. It's just I really like the papers and stuff they have. These papers are from a pad of paper called Theodosia. It is my favorite. I love it. I will buy another one in a heartbeat. So we're going to get this put on. So what we're going to do, this is a little trickier, and I had to make a lot of mistakes before I figured this little trick out. What I'm going to do is I am going to put right up next to the edge our 1/4 inch tape. So try not to overlap them. I do that a lot. It's a mistake. Once in a while I have a little problem just not paying attention, and I can't get tape up because I've got tape laying down. So I'm only doing 3 sides of this. Now you can see that the top is the side that is not done. Okay, so let's burnish this down. Alright. Now, I'm going to take the paper, the 5x7 sheet that we chose for the top, and this is the top of that page. So we want to make sure that it goes with the top that we've written here so that everything is in perfect order, nothing is upside down. But I'm going to take that 1/4 inch tape and I'm going to put it across the top. Let me turn it to where I can see it a little better. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've got it burnished down. I am going to take the tape off of the top of the paper. All right. And I am going to put my clipboard here, and I am going to take this paper and I am going to line it up exactly how I want it to be. So just right above, right on there, just right over the top of the tape. All right, just so you can see what we're doing. Right over the top of the tape. Don't untape anything, but just make sure that everything is where it is supposed to fit. And then you're going to tape this top. You're going to put the top down. Okay, so now what you've got is you've got this, but your paper is on there perfectly straight. All right, so then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go under here and you're going to go ahead and take the tape off. It's going to give me a problem here. So take these tapes off of the inside. Come on. There we go. And then after you take the tape off, you're going to take the mono glue and do a thin bead of glue across here. And you already know it's on straight, so you don't have to worry about anything. Just smooth it down. Get your bone folder, or whatever you're using for folding. Okay. And it's all done. So, the back of it, here's the front of it. Now, most people who know me know that I'm very, very, very into quotes. Most of my work that you will see has a quote on it. So I'm going to take one of my quotes here that I really like, by William Wordsworth. A lot of times I will use the paper trimmer to get these out of here. I always use white printer paper for my quotes, and the reason I do that is so that they can't be missed. So I'm going to take this quote, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up the side. Okay, and it says, fill your paper with the breathings of your heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this scrap paper here. This is where I use my glue stick. All of my quotes, all of just paper to paper, and I mean paper to paper, not necessarily cardstock to cardstock. All of my quotes and thin paper stuff like this are done with the glue stick. So I'm going to put this on here. It gives me a little bit of room to move it around if need be. All right. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the bowl clip and you're just going to open it and put it on the top. Now, the first time I saw that, I thought that that was kind of chintzy and cheap to put the bowl clip on top and not glue it down. I have tried gluing it down. You just put the bowl clip on top. It doesn't stay glued down. Okay, but what you have now is you have a nice little clipboard that you can put a small note on, hang up little ideas or schedules or whatever it is, but very easy, great for beginners. And I will put the materials down in the details. So thank you for watching. Go ahead and I will be doing more of these tutorials as time goes on. If you are interested in seeing them, go ahead and please feel free to hit the subscribe button, and then go ahead and hit those tags and go check out our Facebook page, Something Worth Having, and it will show you the work that we're doing. I do the paper crafts. My mom paints rocks and bookmarks, but you will be able to see some of the crafts that I do. All right, thank you for watching, and I will see you again.